welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who needs no introduction. All right, let's get going with the pod. No, sorry. Hey. Hey, welcome back, Chris Kelly. Welcome back.
Hey, thank you for having me back, Mark.
We had a good time on the Strangers Pray at Night pod, so we're like, hey, let's bring Chris Kelly back.
I did have a really good time with that, and that was a movie I would not have normally watched, so thank you very much for recommending that.
That pool scene's getting lots of love.
Yeah, every time I show that movie to someone, they always say that that's the scene that stands out the most to them, because they look at the vivid colors and everything like we pointed out, and they just go, there's no way that they think that the kid is going to kill the masked guy, and then you know.
Yeah,
life in the back, and everybody gets shocked every time they see it. I'm like, that's a great movie.
It's a good scene, and I like that. It was weird though. I saw on Twitter the other day some guys like, I don't really like Strangers Pray at Night, but I like the pool scene. Like, I don't know why he said it like that, but I was like, why don't you just say I like the pool scene? I don't know. The guy was kind of complaining about it on Twitter, but he said he had to put his opinion on there. But I'm like, yo, dude, just embrace it.
Out of like the hour and 40-minute movie, they like the nice 10 minutes. It's like, just talk about the great 10 minutes if you didn't like the other parts. But I mean, there's a lot of part of that I really enjoyed. But
you know what we didn't talk about, and I wanted to run by you during that movie. You know what? You've worked on sets with the practical effects guys, right? The special effects.
Of course. I
would have loved to have been the Tube of Death wrangler on that movie. Because you know how much like smoke there was and fog?
Yeah.
I mean, that really helped the lighting. Like, it helped practically light it. But
I can imagine.
Everywhere you looked, there must have been a Tube of Death. Like,
oh, gosh,
running everywhere.
I mean, you can, especially whenever the truck's driving, there had to have been at least a good, 50 yards of a tube coming out that way. And, I mean, I can't even imagine the budget spent on that alone. Out of a $5 million film, well, thank God we're in Kentucky, because we get this, half price.
Yeah, this Tube of Death is really saving us. No, a Tube of Death, it's basically just a long tube of plastic sheeting, correct? That they blow, they pump, and they blast air into it so it fills up a tube. And they just pump, fog or smoke into it.
Yeah, you can get that.
Whatever substitute, dry ice, who knows?
They're more popular to buy around Halloween time, but it's basically the same stuff.
And then you just have a bunch of guys on set, special effects guys who do the practical ones. They all look surly. They've all been in the industry for about 40 years, and every single one of them worked on The Evil Dead for some reason. Thousands of them worked on The Evil Dead.
Those credits on that movie, though, does not.
Yeah, it never stops.
Yeah. It's longer than Wes Craven's New Nightmare credits.
Exactly. I was on Evil... Wait. I've met 75 people who worked on Evil Dead. But yeah, so I mean, on that movie, though, I wish we would have dropped that, though, because we've worked on movies with fog before. I did a TV show called Resurrection. We were always using that stuff.
Oh, yeah, and especially remember when we did the Hunger Games. It was constantly pumping in there. And
there's tubes of death everywhere. On this movie, though, that's all they did.
There was a lot of it. I didn't even think of that until now that you brought that up. Because it's you got to imagine. I mean, it's an open area. If they're pumping that, they have to use a lot more, and then it's thicker smoke. And gosh, I didn't even think of that.
But it also really helped practically light everything because it helps light, which is really kind of cool.
Smooths everything out, makes it look a little more dreamlike almost.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. That's another reason why I like that movie. But I wish I would have done the Tube of Death on that because I would have made bank. You'd be there 24 because you'd have to Tube of Death it beforehand, and then you'd have to keep it going.
And then whenever they have to move cameras, they have to move that too. So you're always going to be there constantly moving and working. Yeah,
that movie would have been 45 minutes longer, but they had to spend most of the money on the smoke.
It was originally supposed to be as long as Ben-Hur.
Yeah. There was an intermission. That pool scene was 30 minutes long.
There was a chariot race, actually. It's originally in Strangers.
No, golf cart race. Because we're in a trailer park.
The trailers are blowing up, and then they're flying through in the golf carts.
Yeah, and they were driving around the pool for a half hour in golf carts.
The guy jumps out and does a light jog and catches up to the other golf
Jumps on the back, and then he crashes it in the water, right? And then they have to chase each other back and forth, and they play Marco Polo.
Then there was more smoke in the pool.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was just seeping out. It was Ben-Hur length. But the Tube of Death really... I think it worked better, though. Keeping it the 90 minutes.
Yeah. Because, I mean, as you find out whenever you watch movies that they really put more into it. And then you're like, this could have taken another hour out of this movie. Magnolia comes to mind. That movie is just extremely too long. Even Paul Thomas Anderson said that in an interview on WTF, that if he could go back in time, he would take an hour out of Magnolia.
I mean, he was young then. That was his 90s. He was fresh off, Boogie Nights?
Yeah.
And so he probably had that auteur. He was in his early 30s, wasn't he?
He was 26 when he did Boogie Nights, if I'm not mistaken.
So,
maybe 27. So he would have been like almost 30.
Yeah, so I guess Magnolia was still in 99, right?
99, yeah.
So then I think I saw Boogie Nights when I was 15, so that means that was like 97. So he was in his late 20s, so he was pretentious. Like, he wasn't there yet. Like,
I've read a lot of interviews with different crew members that were worked on, and famously Burt Reynolds, whenever he said that he did not get along with Paul Thomas Anderson at all, and he hated the subject matter and still hated the movie up until he died. Wow, so he really had a serious grudge against him for that movie.
What he did though in his 20s, Paul Thomas Anderson's unbelievable.
Oh gosh, even in his 30s with There Will Be Blood.
Oh, and I think Phantom Fred was beautiful. That guy makes some great movies.
I have yet to see that.
Oh, it's so good.
I've been wanting to see that for so long, but I'm waiting for it to get on some type of streaming service if it's not on already.
The same thing, this is going to sound really weird, but the crazy thing about Paul Thomas Anderson movies is that you have to really watch them. Like, there's some movies you can put on, like, so we're busy guys. And so you can put on certain movies in the background and like you can devote other attention to other work or, cleaning your house and stuff.
Yeah,
but when you watch a PTA movie,
you really do have to invest the time into it. Very much like, specifically, The Master.
Oh my
I had
gosh.
to watch that like 3 times, and I was just like, I still have yet to like fully feel like I've seen the whole movie. It's just very intricately made.
That performance by Joaquin Phoenix is the closest thing I can get to like feral. He was like a feral creature in that movie. I loved it.
No, it was that scene in the beginning where he's a photographer and he's like, you need to straighten your tie, and then he starts choking the guy out, and then he starts throwing perfume bottles at him and everything. I read that Joaquin Phoenix actually wired his mouth shut so that he could have like more of like a kind of like a hardened voice. Which if you watch the movie, he definitely has more like his mouth never opens at all.
It's just visual delights. The problem is you watch The Master. I loved it, but then I didn't really want to watch it again because it was such a such like an in-depth experience.
Yeah, It's like how I felt when I don't know if you saw this, but Beautiful Boy.
Is that what came out? Steve Carell?
Yeah, it's about the writer. I can't remember his first name, but his last name's Neff, who famously did an interview with John Lennon and Yoko Ono 3 weeks before John Lennon was shot. But it's about how his son was addicted to drugs and everything from heroin to meth and whatnot. And it's a very, very hard movie to watch. The other day, I decided to, I was just looking at movies to watch. It was like 10 in the morning, and I was like, I wanted to see this because I saw commercials for it. I put it on. That was not a very wise choice. It's kind of like, we're gonna go out drinking. Let's put in Requiem for a Dream. And then I watched it. It was a beautiful movie, very great performances, but I just was like, wow, I'm probably not going to watch that movie ever again. I've only seen Requiem for a Dream, I think, twice.
Yeah.
I'm not never, but I mean, for me to watch it again, I'll definitely have to be in a certain mood.
Man, I don't think I could. You know what's crazy? I saw Requiem for a Dream in 2002.
Ooh.
That's it. So for a while, I was trying to catch up on movies. And because I had the Netflix where you could rent 3 at a time, the DVDs. And one day I had Clockwork Orange, I had Requiem for a Dream, and another just Face Puncher. And I watched all 3 of them back to back to back. And I was like, I need to get out. I need sunlight, but it was dark out. So I was like, I need to do something.
So you retreated to your closet with a bottle of whiskey.
Just sat there quietly, drank some Dewar's in my room with a cigarette, just dropping ash on me. But they say this, movies that really mess with me. Oh, watching those movies back to back to back.
I don't think I could probably go from Requiem for a Dream to Clockwork Orange without having to go for a nice long break. Yeah. Unless I never saw Clockwork Orange, or if I have seen Clockwork Orange before. And I saw that movie in college. It was hosted by the Film Academy for Penn State, and the film professor gave a 2-hour introduction prior to showing Clockwork Orange. So we talked about it for about 2 hours, showed a 2.5-hour movie, did a Q&A afterwards. So it started at 8. When everybody was done, it was around midnight.
That sounds terrible.
It was not a very good Friday night.
I want to do that for Deep Blue Sea. I'm teaching at a school right now, but I'd love to get a big university job and just do a lecture on Deep Blue Sea, show Deep Blue Sea, and then do a Q&A about it.
Oh my gosh! That's one of those movies that's just you either get it or you don't. And it's like,
I think Clockwork Orange is the same. We just compared Deep Blue Sea to Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, well, but they both made it. They both came from books. Both very much about free choice.
Yeah. Really great. They really speak on our culture and just like what we absorb as far as TV and celebrity. I think Deep Blue Sea touches on that.
And dynamite soundtracks.
Yeah. So, speaking of dynamite soundtracks, wow. That was a good one.
That was a great
I bought this soundtrack for the guests. And do you have this soundtrack?
Of course, yeah. It's on my Spotify.
I watched this movie and I think that's the first good transition I've ever done on this. Normally I'd be like, yeah, so Kurt Russell was in Backdraft. I'm like, speaking of that, our topic for the week is
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, is Unfriended, Dark Web. People are like, what? But yeah, so we're going to talk about the guest. You were actually here, and we were looking at my movies, because where we record, and I was like, I want to talk about the guest. And you're like, I love the guest.
Oh, it's one of my favorite films, yes.
I've actually been wanting to pod about this since I saw it back in, 2015. And so this is directed by Adam Wingard. Wingard, he did You're Next. He also did the Netflix Death Note. He did Blair Witch, and then he also did some things on the VHS.
He did Amateur Night on VHS. That was actually filmed in the Virginia Highlands here in downtown Atlanta.
That's with the vampire girl.
Yeah, I mean, she did a spin-off, I guess, called Siren. So yeah. They never actually say what she is, but
something.
That's probably the best segment out of VHS. I mean, VHS in general is very good, but that's probably the best segment.
They started it really strong.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, and VHS 2, he also did Phase 1, the Chronicle Trials, which is the one where he gets the eye implant, but he starts seeing dead people. Or are they dead? I don't know if they're ghosts. They don't really explain. You know what I'm talking about? That's the first segment.
All I remember in VHS 2 is the one with the zombies, the first person one on a GoPro.
That was so good.
And then Gareth Evans one in the temple with the cult. Holy crap.
Oh gosh, that one's bonkers. I mean, like that scene where he's like, don't talk or don't speak. And then he's just like, are you doing okay? And he's like, I thought I told you. Jumps over the table, pulls out the box cutter and cuts the guy's throat. Oh, it's like, whoa. And then they're being chased by like some demon.
I love that.
That was a great segment. That one doesn't get too much love for some reason. I don't know why. That one's a really good one.
I try to promote as much as possible. And the co-director on that directed the movie on Netflix, which is called The Night Comes for Us. I don't know if you've watched it on Netflix.
No, but I've seen it.
Starring Joe Taslim.
I've seen it pop up.
I haven't watched it, but I've seen it. Starring Joe Taslim and Iko Uwais, and it's like an action movie made by a horror director. It's the bloodiest thing you'll ever see, and it's glorious.
Oh, it's like when Takashi Miike.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Like 13 Assassins or Blade of the Immortal. Like, bodies fly everywhere.
What was the movie? What was it? Dead or Alive?
I haven't watched that one with him.
Golly, that one was ridiculous. It's just like people die in the most disgusting and violent ways. Like, where did he come up with this? And like, up next, Ichi the Killer. And you're like, oh my god.
Imagine watching Ichi after Clockwork Orange.
And like, that was the third movie.
Oh yeah,
that was the third punch
Audition.
In the
Yeah.
Oh god, Audition.
And then, so this one, The Guest, was also written by Simon Barrett. He also did Your Next, and he's writing the I Saw the Devil American remake based on one of my favorite Korean, I guess, slasher horror revenge films.
I've been meaning to watch that for so long because I remember you told me to watch that. I think what was it, like 3 years ago?
Yeah, it's so good.
Every time I go to look at it, go to click on it, I always go, oh look.
Yeah.
Oh, here's Black Fish.
Transformers 5.
Whatever Shia LaBeouf just did. But also, I mean, we can't just say we can't leave away with Simon Barrett. He did write Frankenfish.
Yep. He wrote Frankenfish?
He did, and it was directed by Mark Dipp, who also directed Spawn.
I think I did watch Frankenfish.
Right? The 2004?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the one that had a decent budget. It was a direct-to-TV or DVD.
It was like a $3 million budget. It was definitely a big-budget Sci-Fi Channel original movie.
And it wasn't like the normal ones you think about with Bruce Campbell or ghost sharks. Like it was a budget.
Ghost shark. Remember that one where the shark comes up
Sand
through
shark,
the bathroom?
But it's like a real movie. Frankenfish.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was one of the more better ones. And I think that's where he got his start, was kind of writing more like slapstick, kind of ridiculous concepts, which